New baseline of 2026. Look, reading a couple of articles and reciting canned answers into your bathroom mirror, yeah, that just doesn't cut it anymore. The research is super clear on this. Today's true professionals aren't just memorizing. They are actively orchestrating AI. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how the most successful folks are leveraging these tools to absolutely dominate the modern work environment.
So, seriously, how are you actually preparing? It's a huge question from our source material because, wow, the landscape is completely shifted underneath our feet. The methods that got you hired even just a few years ago, they simply won't survive in today's hyper-competitive job market. Think of this explainer as your ultimate step-by-step guide to navigating this new reality using the absolute best tools we have at our disposal.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're looking at a complete masterclass today covering the 2026 Professional Toolkit, AI interview preparation, mastering the interview itself, a showdown between Claude and ChatGPT, the incredible two-tool workflow, and finally, the Fluency Advantage. Let's get to it.
First up, Section 1, the 2026 Professional Toolkit. AI has literally completely revolutionized how we prepare.
The contrast here is honestly staggering. Think about it. Just 5 years ago, you had to scavenge Glassdoor, memorize these incredibly generic answers, and, beg your friends for an awkward mock interview over coffee. Fast forward to 2026, and the smartest candidates are using AI to simulate real, intense interviews 24/7. You get personalized, brutally honest feedback. You can stumble, you can ramble, you can give terrible answers in your sweatpants in your living room, and the AI is just going to calmly guide you to improve. It's totally judgment-free, with infinite patience. Honestly, this is a level of preparation that used to be reserved entirely for executives with insanely expensive career coaches.
Moving right along to Section 2, AI interview preparation. Let's get into some specific, actionable techniques to build that unshakable confidence before you even step into the room.
Now, what's really interesting about this specific prompt is its sheer precision. You just paste this exact text into Claude or ChatGPT, plug in your target role and company, and you aren't just asking for some generic interview tips. You are literally transforming the AI into a fully personalized, infinitely patient hiring manager. It forces the AI to conduct a realistic, back-and-forth simulation, and it scores you out of 10 after every single response. The data shows that if you run this just 3 times, your answers will be dramatically more polished than your very first attempt. It's a total game changer.
Next, we've got the company deep dive briefing. The research strongly suggests rapidly firing this exact checklist right into your AI assistant. You want the mission, the competitors, the last 12 months of news, and the company culture. Why? Because generic answers to questions like, "So, why do you want to work here?" are literally the #1 reason candidates get rejected. By generating this highly specific briefing, you can craft genuinely authentic responses and, crucially, ask the interviewer insightful questions that prove you've actually done the work.
Which brings us perfectly into Section 3, Mastering the Interview. This is where we nail down behavioral questions and execution.
And this brilliantly illustrates how AI solves the absolute hardest part of any interview, those dreaded "tell me about a time when" questions. You just let the AI run this star story generator. It's a 20-minute exercise. You feed in your work history, and the AI does the heavy lifting. It identifies your 8 to 10 best stories, structures them perfectly into situation, task, action, and result, maps them to likely questions, and even points out gaps in your experience you might have overlooked. You literally walk into the interview with a complete mental library of totally polished stories.
To make all of this completely seamless, this timeline outlines the logical flow of a proper AI-assisted prep strategy. 1 week out, you're gathering your deep dives and your star stories. 3 to 5 days out, that's when you're doing the messy mock interviews and finding your weak spots. Then, a day or 2 before the real thing, you run your final, polished mock interview and practice your salary negotiation role plays. If you follow this schedule, by the morning of the interview, you are going to walk into that room with just this quiet, undeniable confidence.
But okay, before we move on, we really have to pause here. AI is an extraordinarily powerful tool, but our sources are incredibly clear on its biggest limitation. AI cannot fabricate experience you do not have. Let me repeat that. It can help you present your real experience a lot more compellingly, but you absolutely should not claim skills, achievements, or qualifications that aren't genuinely yours. The goal here is to use AI to polish your authentic self, not to invent a fake one.
All right, moving into Section 4, Claude versus ChatGPT. So picture this. You aced the interview. You got the job. You're sitting at your new desk. Now, which AI assistant do you actually open to crush your daily tasks?
We've broken this down into a really fair task-by-task battle, and honestly, it depends entirely on what you're doing. For writing quality and following complex instructions, Claude takes the crown. It produces this amazingly natural, nuanced, long-form content that just doesn't sound like a robot wrote it. But for research and information gathering, ChatGPT wins, mainly because its free plan now has access to web browsing for real-time data. When it comes to coding, analysis, and creativity, it's actually a tie depending on your exact need. Claude dominates massive documents and codebases, while ChatGPT is king for running Python with its code interpreter and generating images with DALL-E.
Let's look a little closer at the specific technical specs for 2026. On one side, Claude by Anthropic uses the Sonnet 4.6 model on its free plan. Its absolute superpower is its massive 200,000-word context window. I mean, you can literally drop an entire legal contract or a massive book in there, and it won't lose the thread at all. On the other side, OpenAI's ChatGPT uses GPT-4o on its free plan and offers a much broader feature set. If your day-to-day involves crunching live data, running complex spreadsheets, or making visuals, ChatGPT is basically your Swiss Army knife.
Let's roll right into Section 5, the two-tool workflow. This is the real climax of our explainer, the ultimate strategy for maximizing your leverage.
Let's see how this builds into the ultimate 2026 workflow. The professionals who are truly thriving right now, they aren't choosing between the two, they are actively combining these tools. Step 1, you use Claude to write that nuanced, human-sounding first draft. Step 2, you hop over to ChatGPT to research current, real-time data from the web. Step 3, you combine them. This intelligent workflow doesn't just produce a vastly superior final result, it also cleverly extends your daily usage limits across both of those free plans. It's a total win-win.
And as you start building out this workflow, the research strongly suggests creating a place to store your big wins. Enter the AI Prompt Library. Just think of this as a dedicated Notion page, or really whatever app you prefer, where you save the exact prompts that work perfectly for you. Every single time you get an amazing output from Claude or ChatGPT, you save that prompt. Over time, you aren't just working, you are actively building a tangible superpower. It's a personalized library that will dramatically, and I mean dramatically, speed up every single task you do day to day.
And finally, Section 6, the Fluency Advantage. Let's wrap this all up. We're going to leave you with this final, absolutely crucial takeaway from our source material. In 2026, AI fluency is one of the most valuable professional skills you can develop. Look, this whole thing, it's not about being replaced by machines. It's about being empowered by them. You now have access to tools that were quite literally considered science fiction just half a decade ago, and they're available right at your fingertips. So, the only real question left to answer is this: how do you plan to use these tools strategically to thrive in your own career starting tomorrow?